Hey there, it's Chris with Acting Creative, and this is a Handwoven Experience, episode 88. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about visualizing the scale of your pattern. It's a lot of words, right? So let's just start from the top. Here is the scenario. You have an empty loom and you're excited to start your next project. You have this great pattern that you are really looking forward to trying. So here's what I recommend. Before you dive in and start winding yarn on your warping board, take a moment to actually think about the scale of the pattern. So let's break this down, huh? I'm using a different book today because I feel like I'm a creature of habit and I should try something new. This is the Key to Weaving by Mary A. Black. It's a classic. It's like a weaving textbook. I don't think they make new copies, but you can find used ones out there. If you can find a copy, it's totally worth it. It's chock full of good information. But in the book here, I flagged for us this pattern right here. Look at this beauty. It's an overshot. Look how gorgeous that is. But check out this threading. There's a lot there, right? I didn't even count them, but we're gonna say there's maybe 80 yarns that go into the threading of one repeat for your pattern. Okay, so 80 warp yarns make up one repeat. Now, if you decide that you want to use this kind of yarn and you are going to set it at 10 yarns per inch, quick math, that means that one repeat is 8 inches. 8 inches, folks. That's a lot of space for one repeat in your fabric. Now, maybe that's exactly what you intended, and if that's true, awesome. However, if you are thinking that this was going to take place in 4 inches, you might be surprised when you get to the actual weaving of the project and the scale is so large, or vice versa, it could be much smaller than you were anticipating. Now, if you want the entire pattern to be smaller, maybe you change your yarn. You could use a yarn that's much finer, that instead of setting it at 10 yarns per inch, maybe it's at 20 yarns per inch, doing quick math, then that gives you kind of half the size for the scale of one repeat. Now, this can also be an important step when you are planning the width of your project. Let's say that you only wanted to have the project be 10 inches wide and it's going to take up 8 inches of that. You might want to then shift how the pattern is so it's in the center, instead of having one full repeat and then just a few inches of the start of the next one. Just something to ponder there. Now, I had this come up very recently for me when I did an overshot project, ironically enough. If you guys have watched Live at the Loom, you saw me working through this project right here. And here's how it went for me. I saw the pattern that I wanted to do and I counted how many yarns were in one repeat, which turned out to be 42. And I knew the yarn I wanted to use, I was going to set at 12 ends per inch, which means for me that one repeat was 3.5 inches. One repeat from there to there. Now, I, in my head, understood that it would be 3.5 inches, but I was still a little surprised when I got to the loom and realized how much space, how bold the pattern would look on my fabric. Now, it is not a problem to be surprised. That's part of the beauty of weaving, is that you're always like, oh, hey, look at that. But as you are doing more and more planning of your own projects and weaving, trying other things, it can be a good thing to actually start to equal up what you think in your head and what you're actually going to discover at the loom. So it is worth it for you to take the time and the planning stage to think about the scale of your pattern. How much space is that actually going to take in your fabric? And is that what you want? And if not, feel free to tweak it. Pick a different pattern, choose different yarn. You can make adjustments at that stage, but it's always a little surprising when you get to the loom and you think, oh, that pattern is really big, or oh, I can't hardly see it at all because it's so small. So take the extra step and just think about the scale of your pattern. Just do a little visualizing. It'll help. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, I promise. All right, friends. Try that out next time you're looking at an empty loom and you're thinking about your next exciting pattern. Have a great week. Happy weaving.